Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are diving into a stack of sources that are all focused on the relentless expansion of AI.
And really how its growth is forcing physical and regulatory realities to catch up.
Exactly. This isn't just about software anymore, is it? It's about concrete, real-world infrastructure.
It truly is. We have a crucial deep dive ahead of us. We're tracking the severe pressure AI is putting on the world's electrical grids.
Which is maybe the biggest limiting factor for what comes next.
Maybe the most significant, yeah. We'll also look at the emerging regulatory landscape, specifically a new transparency law in New York. Then we pivot to the market.
Right, some real turbulence there. The fall of a robotics pioneer and then a huge leap being attempted in driverless tech.
And we'll wrap it all up with the latest productivity tools that you can start using today.
That is a hefty agenda. So covering everything from the power source to the final product. Okay, let's unpack this.
Feels good.
Let's start at the foundation, because our sources today make it crystal clear. AI growth is running straight into a major infrastructure bottleneck.
The electrical grid.
The electrical grid.
This is really where the sheer scale of the AI boom translates into, well, physics. The data centers that are needed to train and run these large language models. They demand an enormous amount of electricity.
And it's just going up.
It's skyrocketing. We're looking at data centers needing something like 22% more grid power by the end of 2025. That's compared to now.
22%. In just over a year. That rate of acceleration, I mean, it feels completely unsustainable for the infrastructure we have.
Well, it gets much steeper. Current projections show those demands nearly tripling by 2030.
Tripling.
Think about that. 3 times the current power needs in less than 6 years. And what's fascinating here is that the grid itself, it just wasn't designed for this kind of concentrated, rapidly escalating demand.
And that brings the challenge into sharp relief. It's not an abstract problem for the future, it's translating directly into cost and availability issues right now.
We're seeing 2 major impacts. First, this strain is a contributing factor to rising residential electricity bills, especially in areas with a lot of tech development.
Right.
But maybe more critical for you, the listener, is the impact on corporate investment. Reliable power is becoming the new gold standard for where to build.
The new gold, I like that.
We're already seeing reports of tech companies hitting power shortages. Shortages so severe that they are actively redirecting massive investments.
So they're just bypassing certain states
Or even countries, because those regions just cannot guarantee the energy supply they need.
So if a region can't promise the gigawatts, the corporate dollars just go elsewhere.
That's it.
It means reliable power is a fundamental economic growth issue, not just, a technical problem for Silicon Valley. If the utility grid can't keep up, innovators have to become their own utility companies.
Exactly. And that's leading to some truly non-traditional and very expensive solutions being explored by these tech giants.
Let's talk about those. The sources mention investment in nuclear energy, which is a massive strategic shift.
It's a profound shift. They aren't just signing long-term power agreements anymore. Some are moving to decouple from the public grid entirely.
How?
This means deep investment in things like microreactors and partnering directly with nuclear firms, even some of the cutting-edge fusion startups. They're moving toward localized, guaranteed energy generation right next to their data centers.
Building their own private nuclear power source, that's an incredible insurance policy against grid instability. But the sources also reference strategic foreign investments and even orbital data centers. That sounds like science fiction. Is that actually feasible, or is this just big tech using a flashy idea to distract from the immediate problem?
It's definitely extreme, but it signals the level of panic over terrestrial power limits. Orbital data centers, so moving processing off-planet, maybe for better cooling or solar energy. It's technically viable.
But the cost?
Immense cost and logistical challenges. The reality is that for the near term, strategic foreign investments in places with more reliable grids like parts of Northern Europe, that's the more practical pivot.
It sounds like the companies that crack this infrastructure nut first, whether through nuclear or something else, they're going to define the trajectory of the next decade.
I think so. The geographic landscape of AI innovation is about to be completely redrawn, not based on talent, but based on proximity to power.
Shifting gears, it's fascinating how a physical limit like power pushes back on regulatory focus. And speaking of visibility, the political world is definitely noticing AI-generated people. New York Governor Kathy Hochul just signed a bill focused on transparency in advertising.
This is a critical development. I mean, synthetic content, deepfakes, it's becoming indistinguishable from reality. The question for regulators is how do you create transparency without completely stifling creativity?
So this New York law tries to draw a very specific line. If I'm an advertiser, what do I actually have to do?
You must provide a conspicuous notice when you're using what the law calls a synthetic avatar.
Meaning a person who doesn't actually exist.
Exactly. Or a real person whose likeness was substantially altered by AI. The key is visibility. The notice has to be obvious.
It's about making sure the consumer knows they're seeing a digital creation, not a real person's endorsement. But I know these laws often have exemptions.
They do, and this one is very targeted. It specifically exempts expressive works like movies, documentaries, and video games.
So it's not about art, it's about commerce.
It's squarely on commercial content that's designed to sell a product or service.
And what if an advertiser just ignores the rule? What are the penalties?
The penalty structure is concrete. It starts with a $1,000 fine for the first offense.
Okay.
But then it ramps up steeply to $5,000 for subsequent instances. That escalating fine shows the state is serious about enforcement.
A New York law might seem regional, but in tech, these things tend to spread. What's the broader implication here?
This law could absolutely set a template. We're seeing states and countries everywhere grappling with this. New York's clarity provides a ready-made framework that other jurisdictions could adopt.
So we could see a patchwork of similar laws pop up nationwide pretty quickly.
Very quickly. This is all about maintaining consumer trust as synthetic media just explodes.
That shifts us neatly into the market movements. And for this section, we need to take a slightly slower, more measured rhythm because the drama here is palpable. Let's start with a real cautionary tale, the story of iRobot.
It is genuinely sad to see an icon go. I think everyone can picture a Roomba, right? Bouncing off a wall. It revolutionized how we think about automation in the home.
It really did.
And iRobot, the company that pioneered that whole market, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. An industry pioneer that has, through a confluence of factors, just come undone.
And it wasn't one single thing, was it? It was a combination of corporate misfortune, economic pressures, and a changing market.
Precisely. The core issue was the failure to navigate the landscape while their valuation was high. The timeline is critical here. They were denied a lifeline when the $1.4 billion acquisition by Amazon fell through.
Right, due to regulatory scrutiny.
At the same time, they were facing this relentless pressure from lower-cost Chinese rivals flooding the market.
That's the classic challenge for a tech pioneer, being undercut by manufacturers who can just scale faster and cheaper. But there was also a very specific financial hit this year.
Yes, and this really highlights how vulnerable even market leaders can be to global trade policy. New tariffs on Vietnam imports were implemented.
And that hit them hard.
It ended up piling on more than $23 million in unexpected operational costs this year alone. That specific expense was really the straw that broke the camel's back.
And that's stunning because they still held, 42% of the U.S. robotic vacuum market, and the financial drop is, well, it's truly dramatic.
In 2021, iRobot was valued at $3.56 billion. Today, it's worth just $140 million. It's a painful 96% drop. They're now set to be acquired by their primary manufacturer, PC Robotics. It's a stark reminder that market share isn't enough.
While one robotics pioneer is filing for bankruptcy, another company, Tesla, is soaring on the promise of removing the human entirely from their vehicles.
Tesla stock surged 4.9% to $481.04, hitting its highest point in nearly a year. And it was all driven by news on their driverless ambitions.
The catalyst was Elon Musk's announcement that the company is now testing fully driverless robotaxis without human safety monitors.
That is a massive operational leap. They had that limited service in Austin, but those cars still had human backups ready to take over.
Right.
Removing the safety monitor means they're functionally operating a true, unmonitored commercial service.
It signals a critical acceleration in their timeline. They're trying to close the gap with Waymo, which has been operating fully driverless for a while now.
They're signaling to the market that they believe their tech is mature enough to match that rigor, despite all the scrutiny on their full self-driving system.
And they're gearing up to launch their dedicated Cybercab model next year. It's a bold, high-stakes move.
Absolutely. The market is rewarding the risk. But that risk underscores the enormous investment required not just in software, but in regulatory navigation and public trust.
Moving from driverless cars to the full humanoid form, let's talk about Unitree's pivot. It seems like they're borrowing a page from the mobile phone playbook.
Unitree, a major player in robotics, just unveiled what they're calling the world's first humanoid robot app store. This isn't a gimmick. It's a strategic move to create an open developer ecosystem.
An app store for a robot. That's an incredibly compelling analogy. How does that model actually change development?
It mirrors mobile app ecosystems completely. It lets developers and even just everyday users control the robots from their smartphones. But the real technical power is the ability to adapt training datasets across different machines.
So an app developed on one robot can be instantly deployed across the whole fleet.
Instantly. It speeds up collective learning exponentially. This moves robotics from these closed proprietary systems to an open platform.
And what's the ultimate vision they're promising?
Unitree's founder, Wang Xingxing, is betting that the next major milestone voice-commanded task completion could arrive as early as next year.
So you just tell the robot, go organize those tools, and it figures it out.
That's the goal. They see the app-driven ecosystem as the key accelerator.
That's a powerful transition. Now, let's turn our attention to immediate utility for you, the listener. It's time for our rapid-fire list of today's trending AI tools.
We've got 5 tools that really illustrate the trend toward hyper-specialized AI agents.
First up, Mistral OCR 3. This is getting a lot of buzz because it's a SOTA model. That's state-of-the-art. The best tech right now for extracting text and images from messy documents.
Then there's Loki.Build. Its utility is clear. Using AI to design and ship studio-grade landing pages. Fast. It's cutting down the time between concept and launch for marketing teams.
Next, for product teams, we have Userology AI. This is described as an AI user research agent built to synthesize interview transcripts, survey results, and findings very, very quickly.
You also have Noiz AI. This tool manages the entire workflow, from text to voice to story. It's an all-in-one solution for creating audio content.
And finally, a tool almost everyone can use, NoteGPT. This is the summary AI note-taker for meetings, long videos, webinars, pretty much anything with spoken word.
What ties all these together is that shift we've been talking about, away from general-purpose models to these highly tuned niche AI agents that solve specific professional bottlenecks. They're all about targeted efficiency.
That summarizes this deep dive perfectly. We saw the massive infrastructure pressure on the electrical grid driven by AI's growth and the desperate pivots companies are making toward private nuclear power.
We detailed the new transparency demands in New York, signaling a new regulatory front focused on synthetic content.
And we saw the high-stakes market turbulence, the iconic Roomba collapsing while Tesla soars on its driverless ambitions.
The common thread is that AI is forcing major consequences: physical, legal, and financial. It's no longer just software. It's a physical, power-hungry reality.
So what does this all mean for you? Consider this provocative thought. If power is the new currency and tech companies are building their own private nuclear solutions, what does that mean for the public grid over the next 5 years? Will we see a two-tiered utility system emerge where public access becomes secondary to corporate guarantees?
Food for thought indeed.
We appreciate you joining us for this deep dive into the AI brief.
See you in the next episode.